What's up, everybody? This is Alex here with my co-host Hail Caesar. Together, we make up the Wolfpack Perspective podcast / YouTube channel where we talk about various topics. Today, we're going to be talking about one of my favorites, arguably my all-time favorite franchise, Star Wars, but more specifically, the Phantom Menace. Movie released 1999. Been a while since the last original trilogy movie had released. You had people lining up days ahead of the premieres, dressed up, camped out in the movie theaters, toy sales ready to go, toy stores packed, and shortly thereafter, it all fell apart. Those toys nowadays are worth dollars, whereas some of the older ones are worth, hundreds of dollars. The merch is about basically worthless. A lot of people left that movie disappointed. You were a little older than I was when that came out. Go. What's your thoughts, or give us your backstory?
I'll give you a little personal backstory, guys. I've been a night shifter for about 11 years right now, so I've been a few months in the daylight, and it's taken a toll on me. Feel like crap right now, but jumping back on topic, I was 14. I was working at the bus garage in my hometown as an internship for poor kids, and I'd heard about the movie coming out, but I love the original trilogy movies, but I wasn't all that excited. I wasn't going to go to theaters and watch it. I remember seeing the Pepsi cans. That was what I remember the most, was the Darth Maul, was Obi-Wan, was Qui-Gon. I remember my little brother, who was 7 years younger than me, he really wanted to go see it, and he was really into Obi-Wan. He wanted to see the young Obi-Wan. So we started collecting the cans. Never seen the movie in theaters, but did end up watching it when it came out. And at the time, I liked it. It was pretty. Cinematography looked good. Seeing the green and blue lightsaber on the screen at the same time was awesome. Yeah, I enjoyed it at the time.
Yeah, 1999. I was still a little bit small to go to theater. Not small to go to theater, but small for a movie like that. Seen the
Yeah, he
originals.
was he was OSC back then. Now he's OBC.
Seen the originals. Can't even go on top now. Seen the originals.
All right, that'll be
bits and
Patreon.
pieces. Yeah, bits and pieces. Not seen a full blown movie to that point. I remember I had the movie on VHS, had all the toys, watched it probably 100 times before Attack of the Clones came out. Attack of the Clones come out, then found the originals. As a kid, I loved it. Wanted to be Darth Maul more than anything as a kid. Not even a Jedi. Wanted to be Maul. Wanted to be the Sith, the villain, surprisingly. But had all the lightsaber toys, the action figures, the ships, all that. Loved it. But I was one of the few for whatever reason. I assume it's where I was a child compared to people who were adults. But looking back on the movie, you got Jake Lloyd playing a young Anakin, Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon, Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, Ian McDermott, Natalie Portman, it's Padme.
Little baby. Yeah, little baby.
Big name cast, really. Looking back at it today, everybody from that movie, aside from Jake Lloyd and maybe Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks, had a great career.
Don't forget Samuel L. He was in there.
Samuel L. Jackson.
More or less a cameo, but he was in there in the first movie, in episode 1.
So you have a big cast, even for the time. But for whatever reason, the movie just wasn't well received by fans, even given the cast.
And guys, you got to remember, this was long before Reddit. This was long before YouTube. This was long before Facebook and MySpace. There was a lot of hate, but it was more underground hate. I don't even know how it got distributed back then, to tell you the truth. So very different time frames between now and then, but the hate wasn't out there as much as it's been talked about over the last decade, I would say.
I think a lot of the hate nowadays stems from the plot. The movie started out, you got trade negotiations and a bunch of legal jargon that almost reads, just reading the plot, you would think this is going to be a boring movie.
For kids, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the only thing a lot of people liked at the time was maybe the pod race and the Darth Maul and Qui-Gon fight. and those two characters, and you end up killing them all at the end of the first movie. Um, I mean, to me, it wasn't as big of a problem. I was a kid. The plot, I didn't understand the trade negotiations. Still don't understand none of that, what they're even talking about. But overall,
I don't think Lucas had a grasp on that either. Really, I kind of could see a little bit from a political standpoint what he was going for, but he had Naboo, and Naboo didn't even have an army to fight back against some droids that were invading. Like, that's kind of crazy to me that a planet would not have an army.
yeah.
Stupid. And a 14-year-old queen is also stupid. I know there's probably times in history these things have literally happened, but come on, guys.
Yeah. Ultimately, Jake Lloyd gets a lot of hate for his portrayal of Anakin being an annoying 9-year-old kid. Ahmed Best gets a lot of hate. Almost committed suicide because of the hate he got. Contemplated it several times because of the hate he got as his character. But I think the thing a lot of fans are not realizing is when ultimately, as Lucas has said, that these films are made for children. And I myself, being not 9, a little younger than 9, maybe could relate more to Anakin as a kid than somebody who's 30 or in their 20s when this came out. Jar Jar Binks, I thought as a kid was funny. Now, as an adult, yeah, he's kind of annoying. But ultimately, I mean, it's give and take, if that makes any sense. If you're introducing new kids to the franchise, you have to draw them in somehow. So it may not fit with the older crowd on that.
Yeah, visually though, it was pretty. Gungan City was awesome. I thought, man, that's great. They under the what are they in a lake?
Yeah.
Are they in an ocean? Heck, I don't even know what that's supposed to be, but man, it was underwater. It looked neat. I like the Gungans. I actually like the Gungans. Okay, I like the Gungans more than I liked. Is it the Ewoks in Episode 6?
Yeah.
Was it the Ewoks? Is that what they were?
Yeah, the Ewoks.
The murder bears.
Yeah. So all right. So we've kind of given the reasons people hate the movie. Now, you as a fan, I know you like Star Wars because we've known each other long enough to know what the other person likes and dislikes for the most part. Do you hate the movie? If so, why? Or do you like the movie? And if so, why?
I would say that we'll put it on a scale of 1 to 10. 5 or 6 in there. So obviously, no, I don't hate it. It was a little, definitely, like I watched it, as a matter of fact, yesterday, just to refresh on it. Boring at times. It was boring at quite a few times, as a matter of fact. I know they got to push a plot and introduce new characters. Definitely found quite a bit of it to be boring as an adult sitting there trying to get through it just for this video. Qui-Gon was great. Some of his dialogue was spot on and pretty good, pretty memorable dialogue. Obi-Wan was pretty charismatic. I always view Obi-Wan as kind of a nerd and a dork, really, but he's a little more charismatic than I remember. The Anakin, he had terrible lines. It was a child actor given terrible lines to work with, which carries on over sort of in Episode 2. But Natalie done a fine job as Padme, I felt like. And there wasn't no hate there. Great fight scene to end it. Stupid that they killed off Maul, I think. They always seem to do that with every freaking character that they should know ahead of time people like.
So ultimately, not a fan, but not a hater at the same time.
It was pretty, and there was a good lightsaber fight. Best light for me personally. Hail Caesar's opinion. Best lightsaber fight in the series to this day. Still my favorite. Darth Maul was great. The double-bladed lightsaber was so memorable. That scene, that door opening, that was memorable.
I would say it's my favorite lightsaber fight. Anakin Obi-Wan is probably my favorite lightsaber fight, but definitely second, if not first. It's close. But me coming back from a different opinion, none of the Star Wars movies, aside from the sequels, are below a 7 for me if I did rank it out of 10. I'm not going to rank them all out of 10 because that's not the purpose of this video. But I would consider this on the lower end of that ranking at probably a 7. Watching it as a kid, it was cool. I had the toys. It was cool to see the toys I had in my hand on screen. Then as a kid, I would have ranked it a 10 out of 10 probably. as an adult, I see why people hated it, but I still don't get the hate that a lot of people
No.
from the fandom menace, as we'll call it, that just trash it and say it's one of the worst movies ever. I don't understand that, but
Yeah, I
I
can't
mean, it
relate
has
to it either,
fallen.
really.
Yeah, none of these movies, in my opinion, deserve below a 7. But I mean, you ranked it a 5. That's cool. I get it. But
Hey, man, had a close encounter with Ian McDermott one day at the 2018 Comic Con in Lexington. That was a pretty cool story. Me and El Ray were at the Comic Con floor. He was one of the big draws. We were walking through a crowd, and El Ray's a little bit shorter than me. A guy shoulder bumps him, and the guy is shorter than El Ray. Just shoulder bumps past him. Guy turns around, kind of pets him on the shoulder, and he's like, "Hey, man, sorry." And my brother didn't pay attention enough to know who it was. He just thought it was some old guy. Dude, it was Ian McDermott. It was Palpatine. Palpatine's shoulder blocked my brother and then patted him and said, "Oh, I'm sorry."
so he
And I
didn't
had to grab
realize
him.
he just bumped the Emperor.
I was like, "Do you know who that is?" And he looked and he's like, "Holy shit. That's Palpatine." He just left. He had just left his booth, I guess to go tinkle, potty break or something. But kind of a cool moment that you could say. Little man, small. Can't say I felt the force coming from him that day. I think mine was a little stronger than his, but hey, it's a good experience nonetheless.
That's one thing about the Phantom Menace. I don't know if you've seen maybe the making of or any of those interviews. Almost everybody on that cast had a thorough love for Star Wars. I think Ewan McGregor's uncle was even in the original
Oh, I didn't
trilogy.
know that.
Yeah, but Liam Neeson loved it. He to this day says he would come back and reprise his role as Qui-Gon. Over 20 years later, which I think is awesome. I'm sure
I mean,
Jake
again,
Lloyd doesn't like it because it kind of ruined his life, but
and it's kind of a shame, honestly. There's not a we ain't got enough time to talk about the terrors of Hollywood, but parents, directors, people should probably help insulate some of these kids, the legit children, a little better than they do.
and if I had a knock on the Phantom Menace, that would probably be it. You had a cast of people very passionate about the project, and with that much passion, they turned out to me a middle of the road movie, and to other people a mediocre movie, which is sad to see, I think. But
And it comes back to Lucas and it comes back to writing, and he's been hit and miss. I mean, he's been hit and miss with a lot of the fan base. Some that don't hate, but again, I've heard these other comments before with
yeah,
other movies that we can touch on later on down the road.
you got anything else you want to add before we wrap this video up?
Uh, no hate here, no hate here. I kind of got that out in the last video we did. Pretty mellow right now, really, in a good state of mind, very healthy state of mind. Protect your mental health, guys.
I guess I would just want to finish up with this. We'll get into this later on once we grow this channel some more, but and do some more of these review of the Star Wars franchise. We're trying to stay away from Star Wars starting out because it is one of the most, if not the most powerful fan base and franchise, arguably, that exists, in my opinion. That and Marvel. I think you're probably looking at two of the most divisive franchises in cinema. But just looking back on it, I'd like people to look at things with an open mind. The sequels, which I don't want to get into, not my favorites, but at the same time, we're not here to trash anything. And as fans, I don't think it is our duty or doesn't give justice for us to trash movies that maybe we don't agree with. Um, Even if then in its sense they deserve it. But
And
ultimately, I
sometimes
don't.
they do.
Yeah, I don't. Ultimately, I don't think this movie deserves half the hate it gets. It's not. I see why people don't like it, but at the same time, I don't feel it's just an awful movie.
So, guys, bear with us. We're trying to grow the channel, brand new content creators. The full Hell Caesar and Alex the White Wolf, the original OBC. I don't think we've kind of developed as to what we will be at some point. This is a new experience staring into a webcam and talking to people that we don't know, and hopefully getting people to actually pay attention. But it'll get there at some point down the road.
Yeah. Uh, we're open to ideas. We don't want to talk solely about Star Wars, Marvel, nerd content. We'll eventually move into some other topics. But if you come up with any topics, leave those down in the comments because we want to talk about things that people want to hear about and maybe not all of what we want to talk about because we realize the things we like may not be what you all want to hear our opinions on. And again, we started this channel just kind of as a pipe dream, something we had both dreamed about. And one day we've been friends for a while. One day just decided, hey, you want to start a podcast, which translated into a YouTube/podcast channel, but we'll get there.
And again,
It'll get better.
Guys, it's always been a Qui-Gon Jinn to Alex's Obi-Wan. We've kind of had that relationship going for the last several years now. It's worked out pretty well. So it's a pretty good topic to touch on today for us, I feel like. And again, not deserving of all the hate. Just remember, guys, the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Obviously, you see who's jabbering in the camera right now, but that was a great line.
With that in mind, leave a like, comment what you thought about this video, and we'll try to get our content released on a more set schedule than it is right now. We just got a lot going on, but until next time, everybody, catch us in the next video.
Peace.